Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account and says my husband wants me to make breakfast for his co-workers 3 to 4 times a week before they go to work. Ooh, cheeky bastard. It starts. We've been married for almost 4 months. My husband works a fairly lucrative office job and is a great help with the finances and bills for our house while I tackle a BA at college at the moment. For that, I am very grateful, and I love him very much, and we are generally happy with the marriage. However, about 2 months ago, he asked me if I wouldn't mind preparing breakfast for him and a couple of co-workers a few times a week. Of course, I agreed because I know how rushed things can be in the mornings for some people, and I was glad to see my husband fraternizing with his colleagues. Also, we have a beautiful home, and it's always nice to have people over for meals. I get along with his co-workers very well for the most part, which is a plus. This has been going on for 2 months. I didn't used to mind it much at first, but I feel that a couple of mornings a week has turned into nearly the entire week, and it is too much for me. Getting up early and preparing eggs, bacon, multiple pots of coffee when there are more than just a couple of co-workers over, and occasionally stuff like pancakes and French toast. I attend night classes several nights a week and don't get a chance to sleep in as much as I would like to. How do I respectfully tell my husband to tone it down a little with these morning visits without hurting his or his co-workers' feelings? I don't want to jeopardize his relationship with the people at work and don't want to push him or our visitors away. It's just become too much for me. At first I thought as a one-off, that's really lovely and thoughtful, but turning it into 3 to 4 times a week, full breakfast, multiple people, while she's doing college and night classes at the same time? And it sounds like she wasn't even asked again, it was just sort of expected and increased. Why the fuck isn't this guy making breakfast for his colleagues if that's what he wants? And just coming at it from a different perspective as well. Imagine being one of those co-workers. I'd be embarrassed. Showing up to your co-worker's house 3 to 4 times a week, sitting down, and his wife, who you don't even work with, is cooking full breakfast for you like a cafe. I'd be so uncomfortable in that situation. A commenter asks OP, why can't your husband prepare these breakfasts? OP says, admittedly, I'm a better cook than him, and I never mind making both of us meals in the mornings. Honestly, if it was just him, I could do it for the rest of my life. But it isn't just him, and I can't do it anymore, and he simply has no time in the morning as he has to get ready and be ready in the office by 8 AM. Someone asks if OP owns their own office, and OP says he does not own his own office. They all work in the same office and essentially have the same job. Our home is close to the office, and he likes to boast about my famous breakfast, which is not a big deal when it's just him and I, or him and a couple of colleagues, and once in a while. But 3 to 4 times a week is not sustainable for me anymore. Someone says, do they compensate for the food? OP says, since my husband pays for 80% of the groceries, it'd be unfair of me to charge for food that is essentially not mine. Someone says, do they help clean? OP says, nope, I have to do all the dishes after they leave. Pots, pans, bowls, dishes, cups, coffee mugs, and clean out the expensive coffee machine we have every morning. Someone says, what is this costing? OP says the breakfast runs us back anywhere from $280 to $350 a week. With my husband's salary, we are more than covered on that front. Money is absolutely no object when it comes to the breakfast parties. So OP did come in with an update and said, hello everyone. I want to thank all of you who helped me out and gave me great advice and sympathy in the original thread. I'd mentioned several times that I was going to sit down with my husband this Saturday and have a stern talk. But I'm sure a lot of you will be pleased to know it happened much sooner. I decided to stay home from a night class on Wednesday night so I could speak to him as soon as he arrived from work. He was very surprised to see me still in the house, as I have night class every night of the week. I brought up many good points from the thread and told him how it made me all feel. I told him the 3 to 4 breakfast parties a week and co-worker visits through the day were keeping me from focusing on my studies, and that thinking of a menu every morning was stressful and gave me anxiety. Also, the tapping on the window from random visits by his colleagues made me feel unsafe as well. These were all points brought up by Redditors in the thread, and a lot of things I had never thought of about myself. There were tears and some loud moments. The first time this happened since we've been together. When I told him that I had made a thread on Reddit, he went absolutely ballistic. He did not get to see the thread. At that point, I went to our bedroom and confined myself to the bed. A couple of hours later, he came in, got in bed and said he was very disappointed in me, and that was that. Yesterday morning, Thursday, everything was the same as usual. He woke up smiling and radiant as always and got ready for work quicker than usual. He came out to the kitchen while I was making the breakfast for the day and told me that he was glad everything had been cleared. I gave him spare replies and didn't feel like looking at him. He was shocked to see that I'd only made a basic breakfast for him. He told me other people were on the way and I told him I had to catch a bus to the library to do research on a paper for class. Another Redditor suggestion. We had a loud argument that stopped when people arrived at our house. I stormed out and went about my business. No words between any of us since then. Today, I did the same, except I left the house while he was getting ready. It is very sad that it all came to this, but I hope things settle down. My plan is to have another talk with him tomorrow morning and tell him that I'm willing to cut the breakfast down to Mondays and Wednesdays only, and that all the visits from co-workers are to end immediately because I do not feel comfortable with them using our home as a rest stop. You have all been very helpful. Thank you. There is nowhere to go but up from here. A commenter says, yikes. I'm pretty surprised by his reaction to this. Has he always been this controlling? I'm glad you set a boundary and plan on sticking with it. Good luck. I hope he will come around and see where you're coming from. OP says, nope, never. As I said before, everything was pretty much perfect until this moment. I do plan on sticking with it. Another point I brought up was that I might be changing my class schedule in the winter and that he should expect some changes around the house. This too made him angry. It's more painful than infuriating, but whatever. I'm just glad I did it. Someone said, why tell him about the Reddit post? OP says, well, I just wanted him to know that I wasn't being crazy and that a lot of people agreed with me. I didn't show him the thread at that point because I knew he was upset. OP then added a couple more comments 3 days later. When asked if anything is new, OP said a lot of cold shouldering and silence this weekend with occasional casual talk from him unrelated to the breakfast. I wouldn't know what to update you with today as I'm at the library studying and he had to fend for himself this morning. And someone said, before you did this, do you know any of the other wives that perform this service for the office? OP says, not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't change anything. Everything is over. That whole part where he got into bed with her and said he's disappointed in her and then woke up the next day and was all smiles and everything's back to normal, that was some creepy ass shit. But it's behavior that we've seen in many stories, the kind of switch, the anger, the dismissal, the fake normal, isn't just inconsiderate, it's control tactic. It makes her question, wait, was I the one overreacting here? And she's coming to Reddit asking if she's overreacting for cooking for fucking all his co-workers. And it sounds like with that last line, everything is over, that she made moves to get herself out of there. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Responsible Deal 7917 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It says, am I the arsehole here for telling my adopted parents I'm disappointed to find out my adopted father is my biological father. Growing up, I, 16 female, was told a story. I was this precious baby who was born in China, and I was adopted by a lovely white American family. That they loved me and chose me the moment they saw me. That love is what mattered, not blood. That it didn't matter that I didn't look like them. My race didn't matter. I was their daughter because of love. Turns out my mum, 41 female, and my dad, 41 male, said some lies. My adopted dad knew my biological mum a little too well. I was born in China to a Chinese woman. That part is still true, but my adopted dad is my biological dad. My adopted mum raised the product of a husband's betrayal. When I found out my parents tried to spin this, all of a sudden, it's such a great thing to be blood related to my dad. Did they not think that if it's so great that I'm blood related to my dad, what about the fact that I'm not blood related to my mum, adopted mum? They're disappointed that I said I'm disappointed that my adopted father is my biological father. Being blood related is what a lot of adopted kids dream of, but not like this. Am I just weird? Am I the arsehole? How can they say that they're disappointed that you're disappointed in this? It's such a wild thing when they've just dropped this absolute bombshell on you, totally flipped your entire identity overnight. She grew up believing this beautiful story that she was chosen, loved, that blood didn't matter, and then suddenly it's like, actually, your dad is your biological father and your mum has been raising you after being betrayed. Like, what the fuck? and then try and twist this and reframe it like it's a good thing, like, hey, at least you're biologically related to your dad, but at the same time completely ignores the reality of how she got here. Not some magical story that they're trying to paint here. It's a result of an affair, secrecy, and years of hiding the truth. Of course, OP is going to be absolutely, potentially messed up by this because OP's only 16 for crying out loud. And her being disappointed is just her being honest. She didn't ask for this situation and she's allowed to feel however the hell she wants about it. Such a wild thought process from the parents, but extra government says it's natural to be disappointed. You're the result of an affair, not an adoption. Your father is an adulterer. That's disappointing. On the other hand, all those things your mum has told you are things that she's had to tell herself. She gave you unconditional love despite not only being blood related, but also despite her husband's betrayal. Give her a big hug. Commenter replies saying this, W mum, hard and sad for her. But she was a loving mum to OP despite her pain and the betrayal. The dad has no right to feel disappointed. What did he expect? He's the only asshole in this situation. OP and the mum are just victims in his story. Commenter says not the asshole. It's disappointing to have not been told who your father is until now, and it's disappointing to know how you came to be. But you're not a disappointment. Your father is, and you have every right to let him know that. OP says it's hard to explain how I feel. Growing up, I didn't care who my bio parents were. My adopted parents were my parents. I thought it was out of pure love and a pure choice. A commenter says it's a betrayal. They cared more about his reputation than your identity and well-being. Commenter says not the arsehole. You're definitely allowed to feel some sort of way after being lied to all these years. Tell them you're disappointed that they lied to you. There's no coming back on trusting their word after that. OP replies saying the lying part does hurt too. So OP does come in with their update and says, this update may sound more painful than it was. I 16 female talked to my biological mum, 38 female using video chat. People on Reddit encouraged me to do that. My dad, 41 male, encouraged me. My adopted mum, 41 female, encouraged me. Since my bio mum is in China, we had to work out the time zone. I mainly wanted to make sure my parents didn't lie about what they had said about my bio mum when they finally confessed the truth. They didn't lie. My bio mum didn't want me. My dad offered to leave his wife, who later became my adopted mum, to be with my bio mum while she was pregnant. My bio mum loved my dad, but she wanted to remain child-free. My bio mum apologized to me many times. I told her it's okay. My bio mum and I agreed to video chat again. When I talked to my adopted mum after that exhausting video chat, I told my adopted mum I understand she loves me, but I don't understand how she loves my dad. I mentioned how my dad has cheated on her with many women from China, Japan, and South Korea. I asked her what's wrong with her for her to tolerate this. I know that was a rude way to ask. My mum said she loves my dad and that she's like a best friend to him. I asked her if the fact that his latest affair partner is telling people about my dad's affairs will change anything with them. My mum said no. I guess this is my life. I obviously love my adopted mum. I love my dad even with his massive red flags. My feelings towards my bio mum are complicated, but I'm okay. A commenter says to OP, in the future, try not to be like your adopted mum and stay far from men like your father, if you're into men. Either way, don't be blind to the red flags as you grow up. My heart goes out to you. OP says I don't think I'll end up like my mum. I still don't understand how this happened to her. OK Raspberry says she thinks her life with her husband is better than life would be without him, even though he cheats. I don't know that you can ever understand why she feels that way, but it doesn't help to think of her life as something that has happened to her. The first time your father cheated on her, it was something that happened to her. Now it's part of her life with her husband, and she's choosing it over the alternatives. It's not something that is happening to her. Just like adopting you wasn't something that happened to her because your father cheated on her. It's a choice she made and one she's happy with. I don't understand it, but if your parents have a good relationship despite years of cheating, before you knew about the cheating, then it works for them for whatever reason, although it sounds more like an open marriage if your mum knew about it. A commenter says it sounds like you did something really hard for yourself to me. One of the most important things anyone ever said to me was that you can love someone without liking who they are as a person sometimes. Family is often messy. You're entitled to feel however you want about this OP. You're young and it's complicated. It's probably a Reddit cliche, but definitely consider talking to a therapist about it if the weight of it begins to become heavy. OP replied saying, "I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up in a therapist's office soon." And Competitive says, "Therapy is an excellent idea. You did not create this situation, but you have to learn to deal with it. It's not fair, and I'm sure you have many questions and issues because of it. A therapist can help you walk through all of it. It may not feel like it now, but you are fortunate to have two loving parents and a third parent who also cares for you, even if she chose not to raise you. You're a brave and intelligent young woman to deal with this head on." And that is where OP's post ended. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Important Fall 8780 and says, "Am I the asshole for calling my sister's marriage a result of an affair when she accused me of being a cheater? Hi, I'm 27 female. I'm sorry to the readers because this is long and a complex post. Let me explain it in 3 points of context before the main argument. A. My country encourages arranged marriage, and so when my father's cousin asked my hand in marriage for his son, my father was very encouraging of the news. He asked for my opinion, of course, and I told him that as long as I can develop compatibility with the boy, I don't have any objection to marrying him. The connection continued for 3 years, and I literally talked once to him where he used cheesy pickup lines on me and told me his father is sitting beside him reading our texts. A huge turnoff. Other than that, despite his family being a little less economically sound than us, his father would make backhanded remarks on us and always treat all the gifts given to him as rubbish and say condescending things, which is why eventually I refused to marry him when he asked for my final opinion. 2 years after the entire thing ended, I met Henry as a friend, and he is the best thing that can happen to me. So respectful to my family as well, and when he proposed, I said yes. Now we're engaged. B. We are 5 siblings. I'm the middle child. My eldest sister is called Claire, 30 female, and my second eldest, Sarah, 28 female. Claire moved away from our state to pursue her career and has a great job now, where she met Matt, 28 male. Matt and Claire clicked immediately. It started with friendship and blossomed into a relationship with Matt pursuing Claire, while Claire was hesitant due to the age gap, but eventually agreed. They dated with marriage in mind, and Matt was introduced to our family as her boyfriend. They would also take us on trips and hang out more as they treated all of us as kids. C. Sarah was engaged to Hudson, also related to my father's side of the family. Sarah liked Hudson and was also happy when the proposal came, despite Hudson's mother being against it. I know the dynamics are messy. Mind you, Hudson's family showed a lot of red flags due to the point of Hudson asking Sarah to be the main bread earner of the family and not expect anything from him, and he would also like a traditional wife. And even when his mother insulted Sarah, he took his mother's side. My mother asked Sarah to reconsider seeing her being so mistreated, but Sarah wouldn't budge. Claire and Matt took Sarah and our younger sister on holiday last winter to a ski resort. I wasn't able to go due to exams, and after that trip, Matt started being actively in communication with Sarah, which boiled down to Sarah subtly flirting with him. Her reason being was she wanted to test his loyalty to Claire, and when Matt confessed feelings for Sarah, she told Claire everything with blame on Matt and asked her to break up with him. Of course, Claire was heartbroken, and eventually, with the insistence of Sarah, she broke up with Matt. Matt didn't try to keep Claire. 2 months after their breakup, Sarah announced she had broken her engagement with Hudson and asked us all to block him. We did try to understand the matter and also console Hudson when he would come and wait at our home all day to talk to Sarah, while she ignored him or didn't come home. Eventually, Hudson gave up too, and just a month after a broken engagement, Sarah and Matt announced to all of us that they had gotten their marriage certificate at the courthouse, i.e. 2 days ago, and would be moving into our parents' house the very day. This was when everything came out. Sarah pursued Matt, and they had an affair behind Claire's back before she decided to pretend to be hit on by Matt, which led to Claire and Matt's breakup. She also strung along Hudson, but when she found Matt was more financially sound than Hudson, her own words, she decided to break the engagement. Now they are married and demand that my parents vacate the entire upper portion of their house for Matt and her home, as Matt is still struggling, and our parents owe this much to her. The entire thing led to Claire having a breakdown and my parents having a shock, as her court marriages seen negatively in our community. When they didn't cater to her needs immediately, she threw a fit and called my mother names, including an S word. This, of course, angered me, and I asked her to restrain back and watch what she is saying. She said that I shouldn't tell her what is right when I'm a cheater and lack moral character. Everyone knows Henry didn't exist in my life until after 2 years of the entire thing. And being called a cheater hit closer to home as our father cheated on our mum and we all suffered from it. I know I might have overreacted, but I called her marriage as a result of an affair, stating an entire chain of events and she can't fool us. After which she started crying and shut herself in a room, saying that she is treated like shit in the family and I should apologize to her. My parents asked me to apologize to keep the peace, but I refused as she started it first, and I am done with her nonsense. My parents also got a little grim with me. My younger siblings told me I might have gone too far and I should apologize. I haven't talked much to anyone else in my family for the last 2 days, and Sarah continues to play the victim. I feel wronged not only on my behalf, but also on Claire's too. Am I the arsehole here? Should I apologize? P.S. We only tried to console Hudson as we all knew how much Sarah loved him, and we wanted them to reconcile, of course if Sarah wanted. Secondly, Claire has shut all of us out after the announcement of her marriage and won't answer any calls or texts. So to just give a quick summary of that, as there was a lot of names in that post. So OP's sister Sarah was engaged to one guy, but secretly started going after the other sister Claire's boyfriend Matt. She even pretended to test his loyalty to expose him and got Claire to break up with him when in reality she was already having an affair with him. Then right after ending her own engagement, Sarah quickly married Matt and moved into the family home, acting entitled and demanding space. And when the tensions exploded, Sarah randomly accused OP of being a cheater, and OP obviously came back by exposing the truth that Sarah's entire marriage is literally the result of an affair. So now the whole family's divided, Sarah's playing the victim, Claire is completely shut down, and OP is being pressured to apologize just to keep the peace. But the top commenter on this post says, not the arsehole, tell everyone that if anything you said to Sarah was untrue, you would apologize. If Sarah was hurt by the truth, that is her own fault, not yours. If you really want to kick Sarah while she's down, tell her that the family will never forget what she did to Claire. Never. No matter how many years pass. Whenever any family member sees her and Matt together, they will unconsciously remember that she stole her own sister's boyfriend/fiancé, or being in a relationship with Hudson herself. How can she even dream of ever being in the same room with Claire again after this betrayal? Who's the one that really lacks moral character here? That's what I would do. But you may have more moral restraint than me and not be as petty. That which can be destroyed by the truth should be. Another commenter says, not the arsehole, with this much drama, shutting you up would only encourage your sister to insult you more. Since she claimed it is only fair for your parents to vacate their bedroom and gift it to her and her husband, then it is only fair you and your eldest sister insult and ostracize her, since Sarah owes it to you both for causing drama in the family. Maybe even throw her out of the family home. I think you should hold on to an excuse such as Sarah owes in a death grip and wield it whenever Sarah opens her mouth to be a victim. Another commenter says, not the arsehole, flee from this quite toxic family, hand in hand with your fiancé Henry. Eventually elope and bye-bye them. Claire, poor thing, she should straighten up and leave too. Sarah is a manipulative woman. Put as much distance as you can between you and her. And also, doormat. So OP did come in with an update and says, I didn't know how many people would come to me for advice, and I am eternally grateful. Although it hasn't been a week, a lot has gone down. 1, I still haven't apologized to Sarah, and my father isn't talking to me because of that. Though my mother understood my perspective and condemned Sarah, my father sees it as a mistake in youth. Though none of my parents are agreeing to Sarah and Matt taking the upper portion of our home, because my dad is very strict about finances. But Sarah has already started making renovation plans, which includes shutting the entrance to the portion from the inside of the home and making from the outside for privacy. And that will raise claims to 3rd story as well, as it's directly over her area and will cut off from ground level. 2. Matt and Sarah have gone down to a campaign to whitewash themselves. They visit relatives, telling their story, and even try to manipulate my younger siblings. The funny part is, 2 days ago, while telling us such a story, when my maternal aunt was visiting Matt, trying to justify his actions, said Sarah pursued him relentlessly and proposed first. So he reciprocated, which was against the whole narrative of Sarah, if he fell in love with me, it isn't my fault, and made her look embarrassed. She came to me yet again to pass sly remarks on me, but this time I told her, Matt doesn't even respect you enough to not blame you for everything, yet you follow him like a puppy, at which she tried to utter some words but stuttered so hard and then left. 3. I talked to Claire, and she told me not to mention anything related to the whole thing as it is hurtful to her, and she's trying to move on. We did have a heart-to-heart conversation, and I might visit her next month. Poor Henry has been my rock in this. I felt second-hand embarrassment at the whole situation, but it did take a whole mental toll on me. He visits me frequently to console me and help me through it. Funniest thing out of all of this is that the cracks are already showing in Sarah and Matt's marriage, as my dad wouldn't let Matt stay over, and he is frustrated with hotel bills. Sarah had a huge argument with my dad, but well, he didn't budge. Matt blames Sarah for not even getting him a place to sleep, as he is her husband and should be her priority. Sarah, on the other hand, blames Matt because his mother won't acknowledge the marriage and give Sarah all the gold she made for her daughter-in-law and place it in her house. Now, yesterday, Sarah came to me to seek my help. I was confused but decided to listen. One of her patients is filing a medical negligence case against her, and she wants me to take the case as she has no money for a lawyer's retainer. I did feel some sympathy since seeing the facts she seemed not liable, but I refused to take her case since I am done being under her thumb. She caused a huge wreck in the house with a meltdown about it. My mother yet again asked me to take the case for her sake, while my father asked me to make my own decision. I still haven't said yes to her, which has made Sarah pass snarky remarks on me about sibling loyalty, etc. I know this is a mess, but a lot of people wanted an update. My therapist said it might help to journal, so I am here talking it out. An update: some people are asking why we stay with our parents despite Sarah being a doctor and I being a lawyer. My country has a much lower pay scale due to the economy. Moreover, daughters are expected to live with their parents until they get married. Since Sarah works in the same city as my parent, she refused to move out and it saves her money, and otherwise she'd have to do all the household work. I just started my practice. Credit cards and loans are rare in my country, so I wanted to save up before leaving. The whole situation in this is just wild with zero accountability. The core issue is simple: that Sarah betrayed her own sister, lied about it, and then built an entire relationship on that lie. You think that alone would be enough to destroy the trust in any family, right? But then she has the audacity to start throwing around cheating accusations at OP, demanding that OP apologize, demanding space in the house, like she didn't cause any of this shit to begin with. It's such a wild situation, that is, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.